We are at the 2011 KOTESOL National Conference with keynote speaker Jason Renshaw, who just finished his plenary session. How did it go? How did you feel about your...
It went better than I expected, I guess. We were running behind time, and it's been a while since I actually did a presentation in front of that many people. It's been a couple of years, so I was very, very nervous beforehand, and it's such a big topic to try and grasp. But, you know, audiences in Korea are always so great. They're always so receptive. So, yeah, I'm really happy with how it went.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting presentation. The online audience was very interested. Now, this is also kind of special timing. Just a couple of days ago, you blogged that you're leaving the ELT world. You didn't mention this at all in your presentation, but what's going on?
Wow, you do some good research.
I did some research, yeah.
Yeah, I'm now living in Australia, and I had an opportunity to... It's a bit related to teaching English. Well, I'm still teaching English, but I'm teaching it to first language learners who are vocational language learners. And it's actually interesting you should bring that up, because why would I change? And to be honest with you, mainly it's because of financial reasons. One of the main points was because this was a job that allowed me to continue teaching. I wasn't ready to get out of the classroom. To continue in ELT and to make any sort of living.
What was your day job before?
Well, I was just running an online school.
Okay.
Prior to that in Korea, I was teaching at a university and teaching business English. But in order to go ahead and actually make some sort of decent living for a family with 2 kids, I would need to either keep writing more course books or become a so-called expert. But I'm not ready to get out of the classroom. I'm not happy unless I'm in the classroom. And this new job allows me to stay in the classroom and continue to teach learners, but actually make a decent income from it, and be local and locally involved. So I'll still continue to run my online school, at least for a certain period. And a lot of people are pointing out that ELT is not quite as easy to leave as you might imagine.
Now, in your presentation, you mentioned I've created this online school, and it's great. It's pretty good money, and I enjoy it. I'll tell you how to do it if you want. Can you tell us how to do it?
I think the key point of advice is that a lot of people are trying to teach online and they're falling flat, because they're going in saying, yeah, this is a gold mine, and I can now start working for myself and it's all going to be great. And they go in and they say, right, I'm going to charge this much, and I'm going to look for students here, there, and they can't find the students, and they don't make any money, and they go, well, that's not what it's hyped up to be. The key advice I would give is, if you're already teaching in a school or in a system, is to learn the tools and to blend them with your current course. You need to go through a period of self-training, and you need to generate a lot of material through things like YouTube. YouTube in particular is really crucial, and put it all out there for free and let a lot of people see you. It's all about exposure. And it's also all about learning from the mistakes of learning how to use the technology. And with your current learners in a classroom environment, that's a great way to go through that process.
So there's the branding and marketing component of putting out free content and attracting people that way.
Yeah.
But when you're actually spending time with them, getting paid to spend time with a language learner, how do you maximize the effectiveness, and how do you use the technology?
One thing is, never assume to know what they want. The first thing you're going to ever have to do is listen and watch. And I'm someone who specializes in TOEFL preparation. Now, that market, I guess, if you want to call it that, they're not really interested in innovative teaching methodology or lots of face-to-face communication. They want the tips, they want the knowledge, and they want to be able to surf through it the way that, on their terms, that when and how they want to. And all you've got to do is make those options available. Some of those students will then come to you and say, I'd like some live classes, I want to talk to you directly. Most of them don't. Most of them just want the content and the ability to share their efforts with the other students and learn from each other.
Now, most of your teaching, is it one-on-one, or is it in groups?
No. Well, when I do direct lessons, it's always one-on-one. Always one-on-one. A lot of people are trying to do online teaching in groups, and it's not working all that well. You know, it's not like putting 3 different learners in a room. When you've got 3 learners, some people are making it work. I don't think it's really sort of the way to go. I think if you're going to go online and you're going to learn the language, most people really want to have that one-on-one access. But then behind that, I think you need a sort of arc of options where they can collaborate with each other and talk to each other.
So you have free content online. You also have join this class, pay this much money, here's this special...
It goes in layers. Let me explain it. It's what I call a freemium rainbow. Right?
Freemium rainbow.
Freemium rainbow. And the idea of the freemium rainbow is I put a heck of a lot of stuff out there for free. And that's been built up over years. And that brings me traffic. It brings me exposure. Then I say, well, if you'd like to get all of that plus all the other stuff I have in a very organized, easy to access way rather than searching around all over the place for free stuff, here's a nominal charge that you can pay to get access to that in your own page. And then if you would like to practice recording your speaking in response to these items, you can take the next level up. And I'll just score your responses for you. And then if you want one-to-one feedback, you can go up another peg. And then if you want a live session with me, then you can purchase that separately. And what that does is, it allows the learners to come in they can see you for free anyway, through the stuff you've done for free. Then they can pay a nominal fee and get all of your material in an organized way.
How much is the nominal fee?
It depends on the program, but it's about $15 a month.
Nominal.
Which is really...
Yeah, it's a lot less than most people are paying for their private academies or...
Even their books. They're paying a lot more than that just for their books. Now, because I'm not working through a publisher or a school or a recruiter or any of those things, I can afford to charge that much. And, a lot of my learners are people who are working. They don't have time to go to a school. Some of them don't make a lot of money yet. They're still training or still at university.
And I'm sorry, how much of that, so they pay their $15, how much of that time is synchronous? How much of it is live connection time?
It's all asynchronous.
It's all asynchronous, okay. How much does synchronous activity happen within the group? Do they chat together? Is there any synchronous component?
Not really at that level. Most of them are coming in saying, I need this, I need that. They know what they want. Mm-hmm. They know what they want, and it's not sort of a kumbamwa, sort of let's all be happy together sort of thing. Most of them are there to quickly get what they want and then move on. But there are options for them to connect with the others if they want to, and I think that's
the
kind
journey
of
along the freemium rainbow.
Yes, but I think that's kind of their private. I try to respect their privacy. Mm-hmm. I don't tell them how they should be learning. I present models and options and then let them choose. And I think that's the essence of where we need to go in the future. It's not a matter of saying, I'm an expert and this is the way you learn something. Mm-hmm. It's, I've got some ideas and here's a variety of ways you could choose to go through it that suit you. But you need to be flexible. When they ask you a question, you should be, responding to them. I'm constantly updating the content and even the way it's delivered based on that feedback. And that's something that a published book or even a school program can't often do.
Which brings me back to your blog post about kind of stepping back from the ELT world. You made a couple of points. One was you had lost your passion a little bit.
Yes, I definitely had, yes.
Is hard to believe after your presentation.
Well, this was the last hurrah in some ways. I've been at it for 12 years full-time. I was involved in teaching before that as well, but on a full-time basis, it's been a good 12 years. And I'm not seeing enough progress in our field. We can't even decide yet whether we're a profession.
That was the other point I wanted to bring up. You were saying it's nice to work in a profession where internally and externally we're seen as a
Man, you
do
good homework.
Well,
really good homework.
You made it really easy. That blog post had a good talking points.
And that's true. I mean, Scott Thornbury recently had a post up, are we a profession? What does a profession mean? And, I think when you've got an industry, and people actually call it an industry with no hesitation, yes, it's the ELT industry. We're talking about education here. Is that an industry? But it does. It operates like an industry. And we've got, one of my big concerns is the Taylorism that is pervading English language teaching. That you can be a guy or a girl who has taught English for 10 years, is really good at what you do, but you can still only really get a job that, pays this much, which is only a smidgen above what a newcomer will earn.
Why do you think this is?
Well, I think published materials have had a big impact because they've sort of automated the whole system, and they've convinced, especially in Korea, that this is a way to textbooks have become so popular because there's no trust in the teachers. You know, you might get a good teacher, you might get a bad teacher, but if you use a premium course book, at least you'll be safe, sort of thing. And that approach, in Korea over the time I was here, what I saw was systematic sort of approaches, especially in the private language institute. You know, they don't talk about their teachers anymore, they talk about their system. Teachers have become...
Is that different from other areas of education?
I think it's happening across the spectrum of education. This is a concern that a lot of people in a lot of different teaching fields have, that everything's preset, it's made by experts who are very far away, and the whole thing's idiot-proof, so to speak. But, you know, my passion is being in a room with people and making it about those people, and I think teaching is to some degree it's a skill that can be learned, but most really good teachers are born good teachers, in my opinion. Some people can learn to become great teachers, but you either kind of have it or you don't.
There's a teaching intuition. That
there's and what that is, it's a social instinct, I think. It's that ability to get along with other people and to be willing to listen to other people and consider other people. You know, one of the best, I've often said, one of the best things you could do before teaching English is to work in a bar.
Well, I know a lot of English teachers that spend a lot of time there.
they're training. But if you can handle a bar, if you can handle mixed clientele, make them feel comfortable and find ways to enjoy what you're doing, then English language teaching has a lot of similar aspects to it.
Teaching English is a lot more social than, say, teaching chemistry.
Well, it's language teaching in general. And it is. Language is social. So the best teachers and the best programs will focus on the social element. And what I'm talking about today in my workshop today is actually getting rid of all the tech and all the books and just teaching unplugged and using that social element. I'm also a big believer in that. But ELT had sort of hemmed me into going either this way or that way. And I thought, well, I better try something else. You can either bitch and moan about it. If you lose your passion and if you're starting to complain more than you're actually starting to sort of fix problems, then it's time to get out. That's the advice I've always given people. So I had to give myself my own advice.
So what's ahead? What's the new day job?
I'm teaching literacy to high school students who have elected to take the vocational path. They're not going to go to university, but they do want to finish high school, and they've learned to hate English. They've learned to have no confidence whatsoever in their own ability to read or write or see any relevance to that. They are a very difficult cohort of students. So here's a huge challenge, you know. That was a huge part of what I'm doing. Get myself a new challenge, you know. Start again to learn. Go back to some basics and learn your way through the process.
And it's not so far removed from ELT. I'm
hopeful that if I don't stay in that particular sector and I come back to ELT at some stage, I think it's going to give me some unique experiences and some unique insights. Because I think that idea of not liking English and learning to hate English and learning to not be confident in your English is by no means limited to certain L1 learners. I think that's one of the biggest issues we face.
Yeah, same mountain, different trail.
Yeah, so maybe I'm subconsciously finding a new way to train myself to be a better English language
Are you
teacher.
burnt out on blogging too, or do you just kind of need a break from that? Or I just can't imagine you not blogging anymore.
I'm forcing myself to. It's instinctive to me now to blog. The blog's been very popular and had tremendous visitation, and I'm really sort of stunned at how much support there's been for that blog, because I speak pretty frankly in there. I'm not an academic, and I'm not particularly well known for any great achievements or anything like that. I sort of just speak from the heart, and it's really sort of had some resonance with a lot of teachers and taught me a tremendous amount. But I think challenging yourself sometimes requires doing stuff that you're not expecting. And I thought, well, you know, blogging's second nature to me now. Let's remove it for a bit. I'm not quitting it forever, but let's take it away for a bit and see what happens.
Yeah.
One of the things I'll probably find myself doing is dedicating more of my time to other people's blogs, commenting on their blogs, you know, encouraging them. And they've been very, very supportive of my blog. Maybe I need to stop blogging so I can get out and be part of their blog more. Just something a little bit more, a different angle.
It's very exciting, a new chapter. Now, you lived in Korea for a number of years.
10 years.
Have been away for how long?
2 years.
How is it being back?
It's a bit bizarre, really. Yeah, it's sort of like, I feel a bit like a gyopo. Because I've reacclimatized to Australian culture, but I still understand the language. So the culture's sort of shocking me. I've got a little bit of minor culture shock going on, but I can still understand what everyone's saying. And I guess some gyopos must feel like that when they have the language, but not all of the culture when they come here. Because we still speak Korean at home. We've got 2 kids. My wife is Korean, so we still speak Korean in the house. It's actually really nice to be back. There's a lot of familiar faces at an event like this. There's a lot of new people as well. And I noticed things about Korea that I didn't notice while I was living here.
For example?
How incredibly polite Korean people are. Generally speaking, just how nice, kind and polite they can be. And when you go through the difficulties of being an expat for an extended period of time, you miss that. I think you start to take that for granted and you focus a bit too much on the negatives. Because there are challenges, obviously, as you would know, being an expat here. But when I came back, I guess I found myself much more willing to notice what's really great about the people and the way they do things. They're such an efficient people. They're tremendous, what they get done and how they go about it.
Would you apply that to language learning here as well?
No. And that's the bizarre thing, isn't it? Korea's a fascinating place because on one hand you've got some of the most dynamic stuff going on the other hand you've got the most traditional conservative stuff going on. And that sort of epitomizes Korea to me, is that there's no sort of grey. It's either all black or all white. But in all fairness, I do think in the public sector that there's some really good change going on. I think they're not there yet, obviously, but they've made some great changes. When I was at Gyeongbuk before I left, I had to go and observe teachers in the high schools. And those young teachers that are coming through now, the secondary school teachers, they've got great English, most of them. It's very competitive to get into a teacher training course now. They've got really good English, and that was one of the major dilemmas most people had. The teacher can't speak English properly. That's changed a lot, I think. And they're also, up there showing YouTube videos and doing more skits, and they're being more creative. And they are still facing that challenge of the older senior teachers telling them what to do and feeling a bit threatened by them. But that generational change is happening. And I think if I come back in another 5 years or so, I think what we're going to see happening in the public schools is going to be really positive, I think.
All right, well, I hope you'll come back sooner. And best of luck with this new chapter, and we'll certainly be staying tuned. You've got to blog again soon. And for people who don't know, what is the address they should check out to stay tuned?
Well, the easiest way is just in Google to write English Raven, and you'll see the blog.
All right.
And join us on Twitter too. I'll still be on Twitter to some extent. So, but yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, thanks. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Cheers. Thanks, Jeff.